Good evening. Welcome to ITV News Tyne Tees. Tonight's headlines: the families cut apart by coronavirus. With China in lockdown, British nationals fly home, leaving loved ones behind.
All change. It's the end of the line for Northern. The rail franchise will be back in public hands from the 1st of March.
The People's Choice for 19 years in a row. Anton Deck successful again on TV's Night of Stars.
And more stars and planets and solar systems and space stations as Britain's first astronaut touches down in our region, making the case for space.
Hello. Families from the northeast say they are being torn apart in the scramble to leave China, where the coronavirus has claimed more than 130 lives. Natalie Francis, originally from York, has been told she is eligible to fly back to the UK on a chartered British government evacuation flight tomorrow, but her young son is not.
Meanwhile, Jeff Siddle from Prudhoe in Northumberland faces leaving his Chinese wife behind in Wuhan, which has been in lockdown since the deadly virus struck. Helen Carnell reports.
The eerily quiet capital of central China's Hubei province is 5,000 miles from northeast England. And kindergarten teacher Natalie Francis, who moved here 7 years ago, has never felt further from her York homeland.
Very, very quiet. There's a bang outside. It just echoes and resounds. The roads are pretty much empty. The streets are pretty much empty.
She's only left the house 3 times in a fortnight, but a British citizen, tomorrow she can be rescued from Wuhan, the sealed-off epicentre of the coronavirus outbreak. But her Chinese husband and son cannot.
Very stressed, crying. I'm not even asking for me to go. Just please get my son out of here.
The city's 11 million residents are in lockdown as the deadly disease continues to grip the nation and wider world, with more than 6,000 cases in 16 nations. People with a Chinese passport are not allowed to leave the country. They include the wife of Prudhoe-born Jeff Siddle. The couple flew there with their 9-year-old daughter Jasmine to celebrate Chinese New Year before warnings about the epidemic.
What started as a family holiday has turned into a little nightmare. We had to sit down and tell the 9-year-old that mum wouldn't be coming with her, and we couldn't get a date when her mum would be able to come home.
Back in Northumberland, his younger sister Paula is anxiously following events.
I guess it's just complicated enough that everyone wants to leave, the UK nationals. And then when you're talking about a family having to be split up, they've got a 9-year-old daughter, so Jeff was thinking that, surely they would take some consideration that, her mother wouldn't be able to join her, and how long could it be? She could be stuck there for God knows how long. So, yeah, it does seem ridiculous.
Clearly there are difficulties getting him from his home, where he presently is, and where he's staying, to the actual airport and the collection zone. My team have been working absolutely flat out for the last 2 days to try and assist this family to get some of them home and hopefully all of them home on a long-term basis.
The UK Foreign Office has told 200 Brits stuck in Wuhan Thursday's chartered flight may be their only chance to escape. Then there's a 2-week quarantine to stop the virus spreading to home soil. Helen Carnell, ITV News.
Next, the struggling train operator Northern has been stripped of its franchise. The network, which includes services throughout the North East and North Yorkshire, will be brought back into public ownership from the 1st of March.
The franchise has suffered a series of problems, including the chaotic introduction of new timetables last year. Helen Ford reports.
It's the end of the line for the train operator Northern. The Transport Secretary this afternoon confirmed the franchise will be taken into government hands, acknowledging that passengers had simply lost trust.
I'm a frustrated commuter who's fed up with trains not arriving, being cancelled and the rest of it. We have to get our network sorted out and running efficiently. I would say to passengers, heard exactly what you've had to say. I actually took action on this because there's a legal process almost immediately after I became Transport Secretary in the summer. And today it comes to fruition.
Northern operates trains across the North East and North Yorkshire as part of the country's biggest rail franchise. The introduction of new timetables last May led to widespread cancellations. Punctuality and reliability problems have continued to blight the network. Today, outside Sunderland Station, there was overall support for bringing the franchise into public hands.
Well, I hope it will make a great deal of difference, because over the years they did nothing, like, this change, that change, and nothing has happened.
Hopefully the trains will run better and maybe it's cheaper for the people using the rail.
The main line was nationalised a few years back and it made a good profit. So what's wrong with that? So if it nationalised, fair enough. If it improves the service,
The decision to bring Northern under state control comes less than 2 years after the East Coast Main Line was put back in public hands.
It's happened today. I'm pleased it has. It shouldn't have taken so long. But hopefully we can have a fresh start. But it shouldn't stop there. We should be looking at the rest of the network. I'm pleased that Grant Shapps has been persuaded of the veracity of our argument that we should have a nationalised railway system, and now we should extend that to other franchises across the country.
After months of frustrations for passengers and politicians, we now know the direction of travel for the Northern franchise. But the Transport Secretary himself has acknowledged that the necessary changes may not be quick or easy. Helen Ford, ITV News.
Well, our political correspondent Martin Stew is in Westminster. Martin, does this announcement spell the end for rail privatisation?
Well, Andy McDonald from the Labour Party just heard there would love that to be the case. I'm not sure a Conservative government are quite convinced, but it is proof again that the franchise system is at times creaking and some would even argue failing. The issue is, though, we can't just fix this overnight, because even as it becomes a government-run body, well, the staff are still the same, the trains are still the same, and the train tracks are still the same. And so while people like Transport for the North say it's good news and they've been calling for Northern to be stripped of the franchise for a long time, without extra investment and better infrastructure, it isn't going to fix everything overnight.
Passengers have lost their confidence in the railway system, so we think this will be a change that starts restoring that trust and confidence, but it's only the start of the process. There's a rebuilding to do of that trust and the infrastructure investment alongside it.
Interesting, Martin. So realistically, what will change?
Well, it all depends how much money they're going to chip in and what difference they can make in the short term. I mean, just one small obstacle for the government is contracts. Northern staff, the majority of them, aren't contractually obliged to work weekends, which sounds pretty crazy when you're running a 7-day system. So when they've had sickness at the weekends, they haven't been able to fill staff, which is why you've had all these cancellations. Now, you might think, great, just change the contracts. That's not going to be easy. It's going to have to go through unions, and you can understand if you're someone working for Northern, you would be frustrated. So there's a huge amount to change, and also all that money that needs to come in to improve the infrastructure overall to make the rail network in the North East much more connected.
Martin Stew in Westminster, thank you.
The court has heard that a Middlesbrough woman accused of stabbing and killing her father feared for her life and lived in a chronic state of dread and anxiety.
20-year-old Jessica Breeze denies murdering her father, Colin Brady, following a family row at their home in June.
Our reporter Katie Cole is at Teesside Crown Court, where, Katie, the jury have heard from a number of witnesses today.
Yes, that's right. We're now into week 2 of this murder trial. 20-year-old Jessica Breeze arrived here at court this morning, seen in the middle, was speaking in the evidence box yesterday, and she claims that she acted in self-defence here. She was trying to stop her father from killing her mother, Kelly Breeze. Now, the jury also heard today from her great-aunt, Anne Brannigan. She brought Kelly and Jessica up, and she said that she felt scared for Kelly Breeze over the years because of her relationship with Colin Brady, and she was worried that the same was happening to Jessica. She told the court she became like Kelly, was guarded and frightened. We also heard a statement from the boss of the nursery where Jessica Breeze worked. She said, "I really liked Jess. She was caring and loving. The only negative was she liked to gossip. Some days she was subdued and quiet and was closed about life at home."
Katie, 2 doctors also gave evidence today, we understand.
Yes, two psychiatrists who assessed Jessica Breeze, and they were both pushed on Breeze's inconsistency of version of events. Now, they said, given the level of violence that happened in that family home that night, that it was not uncommon for her to have a blurred memory. One was then asked whether there was a defence here of diminished responsibility. He said, no, in my opinion, Jessica Breeze's mental state was nothing out of the ordinary. Jessica Breeze denies murder and the trial here continues.
Katie, thank you very much. Katie Cole there at Teesside Crown Court.
You're watching Wednesday's ITV News Tyne Tees. Thank you for being with us. Still to come tonight, campaigners' concerns over air pollution from the increased use of wood-burning stoves.
Why the trend for face tattoos can prove a barrier to getting a job.
And after a bright start, the cloud and rain start to move its way in from the west. But it's not all bad news. I'll have the details later in the programme.
Next, a family from York say they've endured a decade of mental anguish and been forced to pay an extra £75,000 for their mortgage because they've been unfairly trapped on high interest rates.
James and Louise Maul are among 150,000 homeowners who describe themselves as mortgage prisoners, victims of the fallout of the collapse of lenders like Northern Rock.
Those affected can't move house and can't switch to a cheaper mortgage. Now they're calling on the government to help end their ordeal, as John Hill reports.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. For James and Louise, their 3 children are everything, but their far too small 2-bedroom family home and their far too big mortgage that pays for it have become a trap from which they can't escape.
This is the children's room, so we have Joshua at the top, we have Grace at the bottom, and this is baby Jacob's cot. As you can see, there's not a lot of room for them.
The family would have moved to a bigger house years ago, but they and many others have found themselves trapped on expensive interest rates with defunct lenders.
They've just got no room. Joshua stays at his grandma's 2 nights a week because he doesn't have anywhere to go quiet and do his homework because his sister is quite loud. Doesn't give him the space he needs, and he just needs a room to himself, but we can't offer him that. We make do obviously with what we've got at the moment, but it does put a massive strain on us as a family.
Louise and James took out a mortgage with Northern Rock. It went bust during the financial crash 12 years ago, but the firms which took over Northern Rock's mortgages aren't allowed to offer new deals or remortgages to borrowers. On top of this, new stricter mortgage affordability rules mean homeowners are struggling to switch elsewhere. Now, the UK Mortgage Prisoner Action Group has lobbied the government, calling for action to free around 150,000 homeowners from the so-called mortgage trap. The Treasury says it's introduced rules that make it easier for some customers to switch. It now wants to see more people offered these new deals. But for Louise, any change can't come soon enough. She says her family are tens of thousands of pounds out of pocket through no fault of their own.
We've actually paid over £75,000. If we were on a normal interest that we should have been on, we would have had £75,000 in our pockets.
How does that make you feel?
Disgusted, heartbroken that we could have had a bigger house for our family so we can actually be happier. Yeah, I just want to cry most days, to be honest.
Well, next tonight to the concerns from clean air campaigners about the increase in wood-burning stoves across the northeast. They say they're damaging the environment.
There's been a huge growth in the sale of log burners as people look for alternative methods of heating their homes. But some groups are worried about the impact on our health from smoke and soot.
The industry has hit back at the claims. Matt Price has the story.
Edward Newcombe makes his living selling these wood-burning stoves across County Durham. There's been a huge surge in popularity over the last few years, and he thinks he knows why.
They give a beautiful, beautiful feature in the home. They give off a different kind of heat. It has to be experienced. It brings your home to life and makes it so cosy. The flames are almost hypnotic to look at.
Figures show around 2 million UK homes are currently using wood-burning stoves. We're told 180,000 of them are fitted each year in Britain. But as sales soar, so too do concerns about air pollution. Stuart Phelps is one of several campaigners worried about the smoke and soot they produce. Scientists claim the particles are linked to heart disease and cancer.
If you accept that we now have to say to people, I'm sorry, you can't drive your diesel vehicle here, or you have to have a low emission vehicle there, we're going to have to start saying to people, you can't heat your home this way. And when particularly it's not the only form of heating.
The government says action is being taken through its clean air strategy, a raft of measures to make our air healthier to breathe, protecting nature and boosting the economy. Stoves that are sold from 2022 must meet new eco-design rules. But the industry tell us that's already happening.
Well, I think the first thing to say is that the industry does take the claims very seriously and has made significant investments in a new generation of products that address a lot of these claims. The key thing about a wood-burning appliance is that it's a sustainable, renewable fuel source. So it's a very low carbon solution.
And a solution which isn't going away. Interior designers like Sarah know many people see these stoves as a fashion must-have.
There's a real trend, and if you look in the interiors magazines, you will see log burners in every spread. You know, they really are an interiors fashion moment. But for saying that, you know, they're a good choice for a lot of homes.
Heating those homes, or rather how we do it, has ignited a debate. And while burning wood might sound the most natural way to do it, there are those asking, at what cost? Matt Price, ITV News.
Stay with us. The ITV Evening News continues at 6:30. Here's a look at what's happening with Mary Nightingale.
Coming up, the hundreds of Britons about to be repatriated from Wuhan, the epicentre of the new coronavirus outbreak in China, will be put into quarantine when they arrive back in Britain. We'll bring you the very latest on that. Here, the government takes back control of Northern after years of misery and mayhem. But what will nationalisation mean for passengers? And the new warning for women who drink when they are pregnant. Do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Now, love them or loathe them, tattoos seem to be as popular as ever. Or could it be that they're just becoming more visible?
It's not uncommon now for people to want tattoos on their hands, their necks, even their faces.
Yes, but facial tattoos are also seen as the ultimate fashion statement. There is no hiding them. They can, though, have serious implications in the world of work, as Lauren Hall reports.
Famous faces covered in tattoos. These celebrities are following a growing trend, but what's right for them may not be right for everyone. At this tattoo studio in Newcastle, they urge caution when it comes to facial tattoos, but have noticed more and more customers asking for them.
Our moral compass would lead us to, ask the client if they're definitely sure, because it's not something that can be hidden. Obviously, it's very permanent. Subject matter again. You wouldn't want to put your opinions on someone else, but these decisions can be made which are later regretted. So we try and steer our customers the right way.
There will be customers like Kevin Garrity who decide it is right for them. He loves tattoos and always wanted them on his face, but he admits it has affected his job prospects.
I find it very hard to get a job, and there's only one company that in a security world that took me on. All the rest, as soon as I had the interviews, seen the tattoos, no good. So yeah, I've been discriminated quite a lot, but I takes it on the chin.
He has to, because there's nothing to stop an employer discriminating against him.
There isn't any law that protects anyone with a facial tattoo or even any tattoo, so if an employer wanted to set rules around that, they could. The difference between a job seeker and an individual who already has a job is that an individual in employment has what's called unfair dismissal protections. So if an employer were to introduce a policy, they would have to follow a fair process if they wanted to dismiss that person. But for a job seeker, unfortunately, there isn't any protection. So if they were to go to a job with a facial tattoo or a prominent tattoo and the employer didn't like it, they could simply not hire that person.
When it comes to facial tattoos, employers don't have to turn the other cheek. Kevin Paul urges people to think twice before getting them. He's a tattoo artist himself and says his face has become a bit of a distraction after changing career direction.
I'm slowly coming out of tattooing. I'm working with bigger people, big companies. It really has an impact, and I can see when you go to meetings that their tone definitely changes when they see you approach them. So I think it has definitely affected me in work.
The Tattoo and Piercing Industry Union says it serves as a reminder to all tattoo artists of the need to give proper advice and guidance.
Well, there is a duty of care really for all tattoos. We encourage our customers to think long and hard before they get any tattoo, irrespective of where it is or what it is. It's a mark for life, and they should be thinking about that.
As these sorts of tattoos become more popular, those choosing to get them will have to face up to the consequences, because employers don't always love them. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
On to sport briefly, and Sunderland have the chance to climb back into the playoffs tonight with a victory against Tranmere Rovers. The Black Cats are looking for their 4th win in 5 games, but the team will have to get to grips with the pitch at Prenton Park. It's known to be in a poor condition.
Like I said to the lads today, that it's the same for both teams. Teams have gone there and played football on it. Man United, Ipswich, Coventry. So it is what it is. We've got to make sure we're better equipped with them to deal with it.
And there's more sporting content on our Facebook page. And also you can find out how a young blind woman from County Durham is hoping to take on the world in the artistic field of pole dancing. That's as well as sport. That's on our Facebook page. Just search for ITV Tyne Tees.
Ant and Dec have continued their dominance at the National Television Awards. The Geordie duo claimed the Best TV Presenter gong for the 19th year in a row last night. They saw off competition from Graham Norton, Bradley Walsh and Holly Willoughby to take the title.
On the way in, we had our chat, as we normally do, about this being the year we don't win it. And we were like, look, it's been a great run. We're very lucky to do what we do. And then you go and do this again.
Yeah, we are so grateful. It never gets any easier sat there. If anything, you feel more and more sick every year. But honestly, thank you to so many people.
Well done, fellas. Terrific achievement yet again. Now, from stars of screen to a real star from space. Helen Sharman, the first British astronaut, has been here in our region, inspiring the next generation of space explorers.
Yes, she was here to officially launch the new Space Zone at the Life Science Centre in Newcastle. The exhibition is part of a major revamp of the centre. Julia Bartham is there for us in Mission Control. Julia.
Hello, yes, I am at Mission Control Life Science Centre, Newcastle, where people can come and have a go at their own mission controlling a Mars rover. It's all part of the Space Zone, which is designed to show visitors what the link is between everything in space and life here on Earth. And who better to launch this than Britain's first astronaut, Helen Sharman. I caught up with her earlier.
It's not just something for everybody. I mean, you can smell what we think space might smell like. It's really just very creatively put together, showing what we already make use of in space, and just that nod to the future as well. But things that happen actually to people here in the northeast of England. People here are having great careers in space, and there's a great space industry going on in this local area as well.
Just one of the hands-on interactive displays here at the centre. While Helen Sharman was here, she gave a talk to 200 school children to try and inspire them about the space industry. In the audience was 11-year-old Oliver, and he was brought by his dad Matt, who also met Helen Sharman when he was 11, and that meeting really inspired his future career.
30 years ago, I was involved in the original Juno mission. I got to meet Helen when she came back to planet Earth. And that inspired me to move on, come to Newcastle to study electronic engineering, and now I'm a software engineer. And so it's brilliant to be able to bring Oliver here today to meet Helen and just to inspire, really.
And what did you think of Helen Sharman, Oliver?
Cool. It's amazing to be able to meet the first person in Britain and ever to go into space.
Linda Conlon is the Chief Executive here at the Centre for Life. Tell me what you hope to achieve with this exhibition.
We wanted to have an exhibition which was cutting edge and which reflected the 21st century. And we asked our visitors what they'd like, and it was a resounding answer of we would love an exhibition about space, because there is something about space which seems to touch everyone, and it's a wonderful, wonderful topic to use to inspire people about science.
Tell me about some of the exhibits you have here.
We've got a huge range of exhibits here. We've got exhibits which will help you to understand what it's like to live in space, to work in space, and of course to go to the toilet in space. We've got the North's biggest planetarium to look at the night skies with live shows. We've got a sphere, again the first in the north of England, which uses real satellite imagery to look at some of the issues which are facing the planet today, including climate change. So there's a whole range of things for people to be able to do.
This is part of a very big year for you, isn't it?
It is part of a big year for us. We're 20 this year, in May actually, but we've got a full programme of really exciting events to celebrate 2020. Kicking off with the Space Zone, of course, but then March the 16th, we've got the ex-boss of MI5 coming to talk about what it's like to be in charge of spies in this country. We've also got
lots and lots coming up. Thank you so much. I just had to cut Linda short there, which I feel bad about, because I want to show you this last thing. This is all about all the careers and jobs that you can do in space. And look, it includes our own Ross and how he forecasts the weather, of course, using satellites in space.
That's fantastic, Julie. Giving away our secrets there. Thank you very much. So that's how you do it.
No one's meant to know about my secret satellites.
Look at you being linked with astronauts.
I know, that's a first.
I'm basically an astronaut, really, aren't I?
That's what she said, yeah.
Yes, let's look at the world from above. Have a picture. have a look at this. There you go. Not quite a satellite, it's more like a cartoon, but it explains what's going on with the weather. We've had some chilly temperatures recently because we've had the cold air over us, but the jet stream is starting to move further north, and as it pushes north, it introduces that mild air from the south. So yesterday we were talking snowfall. By the end of the week, we're talking highs of 12 or 13 degrees. Amazing how it can change. Here's your forecast.
A little moment of sunshine. TUI sponsors ITV Tyne Tees Weather.
The cloud rolled its way in as we made our way through the afternoon, bringing some spells of rain. Some of those have been on the heavier side, but it is patchy as we look towards this evening and overnight. Blustery winds, though, certainly as we look towards tomorrow. Again, some bits of rain in the mix there, although temperatures still not as chilly, actually quite mild for the time of year as that milder air moves across the UK. But low pressure is dominating. It is keeping things unsettled. Squeeze on the isobars there showing we're expecting those blustery conditions through tomorrow and into Friday morning. Again, another area of low pressure moves in. Some spells of rain, some gusty winds, still unsettled as we make our way into the weekend. So for now, the rain is going to be off and on. Heavier bursts certainly up towards the northern parts of Northumberland, and it's up towards the north that rain is going to move into those early hours. Cloud amounts will vary as we head into the first part of tomorrow morning. Temperatures underneath the clouds holding up at around 5 or 6 degrees, but underneath any prolonged clearer skies down to 2 or 3, but a little bit too breezy to see any frost forming, but still a bit of a chill to things into Thursday morning. First thing, some brighter spells around as we make our way through the later morning into the afternoon. Again, it's just bits and pieces of patchy rain where that cloud is thick enough. It's blustery though. We're looking at gusts of 40, 50 miles an hour, certainly over higher ground. But check out the temperatures, 11 degrees, 12 degrees potentially in the best of any brighter spells. Thursday and into Friday, holding on to those mild conditions, but still low pressure always nearby. Some of the clearer skies, unfortunately, through the first part of Thursday night into Friday morning. Then further spells of rain will start to move in. And again for Friday, we're looking at plenty of clouds, spells of rain coming and going. And that is the scene as we head into the weekend, but temperatures hold up with highs of 12 degrees.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne Tees Weather.
Thank you, Ross. In just a moment, it's the national and international news with Mary Nightingale.
I'll be back with the update this evening at about 10:30, and we'll all see you tomorrow. Have a good evening. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.